The food you eat determines your mental and physical health. Now, we've known for years that hungry children struggle to grow and learn. Well, guess what? Even as adults, your body is always building and repairing. And that means that the quality of the food that you're eating actually matters. So, when my daughter was young, I spent so much time, energy, attention, making sure that she had quality meals. That means for me in the morning, I took time to make her breakfast before I took her off to school and I went to work. And that means I also paid for school lunches. And in the evening, she had a home cooked meal every single day that my mom made for her. Every single day, she had a home cooked meal. Now, on the other hand, for myself, I typically skip breakfast, even though back then I believed that breakfast was the most important meal of the day. I just didn't have time, right? Had to get ready for work, feeding her, getting myself ready, like all over the place, didn't have time. And for my lunches, I had fast food a lot of the time, or for supper too, I would have fast food, or I would have frozen meals for lunch and suppers. It was rare that I actually took the time to cook for myself. And when I did have a home cooked meal, it was because on the weekend I was cooking for her, right? I wasn't even doing it just for me. I was doing it because I have to cook for her. I'll have some too. We prioritize our children's meals and health, and then act like if our own health is going to be okay because of magic, right? That just the fact that we're adults, some special powder is going to be sprinkled over us and we're going to be healthy. And 6 years ago, in a very painful way, I learned that my diet wasn't healthy. As a matter of fact, my diet was pitiful. And I learned that because my body was falling apart, basically. And my body had started falling apart years before that. So how I didn't click in that what I was doing was harming me, I have no clue. But 6 years ago, when I could no longer walk, I could no longer ignore the fact that my body was screaming at me because my diet just wasn't healthy, right? There was too much sugar in my diet. And I'm talking about cookies, cakes, ice cream, chocolate. There's lots of chocolate in my diet. I would drink hot chocolate. I would eat chocolate bars. I would have chocolate cake, chocolate croissants for breakfast. Chocolate was a part of a lot of what I was doing. I was allowing unhealthy cooking practices, like, oh my gosh, the amount of seed oils. I used margarine. I cooked with canola oil, vegetable oil, whatever. I bought, again, fast food. So a lot of those things are cooked in vegetables. French fries were my favorite things to eat. So we also have the fact that I was eating all these frozen meals and frozen pizzas and these hyper processed foods, cookies. I wasn't making cookies at home. I was buying them. Like everything I was eating was processed garbage food. It was horrible. And I've spoken to many people who've tried to do keto, right? They try to fix their health by eating properly. And they have a hard time. Now, when I started, I had a hard time too. It took me 2 weeks. And so people are going to say 2 weeks is not a long time. But can I just say that when you do 2 weeks of getting used to a new way of eating, and out of that 2 weeks, like 4 of the days, you're in active withdrawal, yeah, that's horrible. And I know it's not as bad as people who diet for years and don't lose any weight. So I'm not trying to say my experience was worse than that. But what I'm saying is, for me, it wasn't fun. So I understand when people try to do keto and fall away and try to do keto and fall away, because when you're in that active withdrawal part, yeah, I could see why somebody might break. My reason for eating properly was so huge. I couldn't walk. It's not like I was trying to lose 5 pounds. I couldn't walk. So I had to stick it out. I had to find out if this healthy way of eating, is what I was being told was healthier, was going to help me solve my problem. Now, the carbohydrates that we eat, right, the ones that we keep in our diet when we do keto, I think are part of the problem that causes people to fall away. Because eventually something called that we call carb creep can happen, where because I'm eating healthy salads, because I'm eating healthy vegetables, I end up putting a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more on my plate until eventually I get kicked out of ketosis. And that's has been a reason that I've heard some people say they fell away from keto. Another thing that I've heard people talk about is that, they're making keto treats. And then in that process of making keto treats, they eat maybe too many of those treats and they get kicked out of ketosis and they fall away. Ultimately, when your body's not working and then you find a healthy way of eating like keto and you're trying to do it and you're trying to change the whole way you're thinking about food, and then the food that you're eating seems to be a gateway back to the food that you were eating before, because these keto treats, the cookies and all these things that you're allowing yourself to make that mimic the poor food that caused your health problems, well, that just reminds you how much you miss that food. And if you haven't been doing keto for very long, it's very tempting to go back and I'll just have one real cookie because I know that's going to taste better than this keto version. I'll just have one real piece of cake because I know it's good. And we end up accidentally on purpose, eating the thing that we shouldn't be eating and causing our health to struggle. If I want to be healthy, I need to put myself in the best possible position where doing the healthy thing not only is what's in front of me all the time, but becomes so comfortable, so natural, so desired by me that I do it all the time. I want to point something out because I started off my keto lifestyle making replacement foods. I started off my keto lifestyle making replacement fun things like cookies, and pizza was one of my favorite meals to have back on the standard diet. And of all the things I wanted a replacement for, pizza was one of the number one things I wanted to replace. I found an easy replacement for pasta really early on, but I actually liked. I didn't mind zucchini noodles with pasta sauce. I actually liked it. That I was able to let go real quick. I was making keto replacement cakes. They didn't taste anything like a real cake. I was able to let those go really fast. But pizza stayed with me for years. Stayed with me. And I will say that I iterated and iterated till I was making a completely meat-based pizza with just the smallest amount of veg, which was coming from the sauce. It was the only thing left that I was having in my pizza that wasn't animal-based. And guess what I did? I let it go. Why? Because it still was reminding me of those foods that I used to eat. And even though it's completely fine for me to have, is it helping the goal that I have of staying healthy? So that tapped into something that I want to share with you guys today. I ended up moving myself so close to carnivore that it occurred to me that carnivore solves a lot of the problems that keto presents and that causes people to flip in and out, in and out, in and out. Because I will say that I think part of my success living a keto lifestyle was how close my keto lifestyle was to a carnivore lifestyle. The fact that the only few times I had veg, they were the veg that had nothing to do with my old life and that I kept because and can I just, for clarity, in my old life, in my standard American Canadian diet that I was doing, I was not eating vegetables. I wasn't. If I'm being totally honest, the only vegetable that was ever on my plate was French fries. If I'm being totally honest. If I ate at my mother's place, yes, there were a few vegetables on my plate. And did I even eat them? I ate potatoes and I ate the carrots. And the other vegetables, it would have been a hit or miss if I decided to eat them. I wasn't eating healthy vegetables. And so, therefore, when I started to do a keto lifestyle and started to really focus on the foods that I thought were going to help me, what I started to see was that the foods that I let in weren't foods from my history. That made it easy. Are you allowing yourself to eat in a way that makes it easy? The carnivore diet, as I realize, solves the problem of being pulled back into that keto, to that standard American diet world, right? Because when you're carnivore, you just don't eat plant matter, right? Which means that almost all the fun foods fall away. If I'm carnivore, I can't even eat a cookie because, right? Like there's no, I can't have candy. None of the things are available to me to have. Now, that's a blessing because it just stops all the chasing, right? You have meat, poultry, dairy, and eggs. Everything else is taken off the table. And I honestly think that this is the first thing I want to put in front of you as a great reason to do carnivore. It just helps people stay on track because the lines are so clear. This is food. This is not, right? Anything animal food, everything veg, not food. It's just clear. Now, the other good reason to eat a carnivore lifestyle, so there's a few more. I've got 5 for you. And the first one, lines are clear, right? But the second one is this. You end up increasing the amount of protein that you're eating, and that has a bunch of positives attached to it. You're going to gain more muscle. And you know what the weird thing is? It's not eat protein and work out like a crazy person to gain muscle. What Pat and I have both noticed is that by eating more protein and then living the normal life that you've been living, you gain more muscle. It's weird. It's ridiculously strange, and it's lovely because I don't like going to the gym, and to be able to just do my normal thing and see when I step on the scale and it's telling you the percentage of body fat you have, that it's shifting. It's great. Pat was pointing out to me that he noticed it. Like, it's shifting. And with normal activities, it is so amazing. And I wasn't really paying as much attention to it as he was, but when I look back at my numbers, it's reality. So this is really cool. Another side effect of eating more meat, because that's all you're eating. So you're just meat and eggs and meat and eggs, right? And fish. You can eat fish. Is that you actually are less hungry. Those healthy fats that come along with the protein that you're eating are very, very, very satiating. And they're also a nice building block for your body. A little bit of a bonus there, so that your body is building itself better, which explains the better muscle that we're able to put on. And you're not hungry, so that you're not constantly thinking about food. Amazing. You're not chasing food. Amazing. It feels good to live a day and live the majority of my day without thinking about food and without feeling those hunger whatevers. And I get hungry around the time that it's time for me to eat. How convenient is that? That when I'm starting to cook, that's when I start to feel hungry. I eat my meal, and then I get to live another 24 hours feeling like, yes, I eat one meal a day. Pat, sometimes one, sometimes two. But regardless, like, both of us are realizing it's only when we start to cook that we notice that we're hungry, and then we're fine afterwards. Now, that increased protein also, with the muscle that you get, gives you the ability to take better care of yourself. I can lift heavier things. It's funny because Pat and I went shopping yesterday, and I went off to get some, toilet paper, and we're at Costco. So, you have the big, gigantic containers of toilet paper. And I just picked up two of them at the same time. And I know it's not ridiculously heavy, but I also know that in my history of being me, I probably would have taken one at a time because Pat left with the cart. And the history of being me, I wouldn't have risked carrying two big containers like that of toilet paper for that distance because it's not light, but it's not heavy. I was able to do it. And when we got home and we were bringing groceries in, I didn't just take the lightest things. I actually took some, like, I'm not afraid to pick up heavy things now, where I know in the history of being me, I would have left all the heavy stuff for him and I would have taken the light stuff. People with more muscle have a tendency to just do more stuff for themselves because they can. And that's lovely because it helps me to be more independent, but it's also lovely because it helps me to take better care of myself. And there's also research that shows that people with more muscle live longer. There's positive on top of positive on top of positive from building a better quality body. And that ability to build this better quality body, and what Carnivore does for us, number 3, is it eliminates the things that were causing a poor quality body, the things that were causing holes in my body, in my health, all those plant toxins that we are consistently putting in our body because we are eating plants. The majority of the things that we eat are plants. So I want to make sure I say this part very clearly. When I look back on the meals that I was eating, if we start with the fast food, if I had a burger, there was a patty, and then everything else on the plate is vegetation, the bun and everything, right? Vegetation. If I had a pizza, there's some cheese, and there's some pepperoni or whatever meat is on the pizza, and everything else on the pizza is vegetation. If I was eating a meal at my parents' place, whatever piece of meat I had on the plate, and then everything else was vegetation. And I'm from the Caribbean, so that piece of meat was no match for the amount of rice or pasta or potatoes or like that was on my plate. We don't recognize how much vegetation we are eating compared to the very small amount of meat that's on these meals. And when we're talking about frozen dinners, the first of all, the quantity is small to begin with, but that amount of meat is even small. There was not enough meat in my meals to build a good quality violet, is what I realized. I was building a poor quality version of myself. Add to that, in almost every one of those meals, all of the oils were plant-based. So I wasn't even getting a quality oil into my body. What happens when you reduce the plant toxins, Wellness Warrior? Well, guess what? You reduce the inflammation that's happening in your body. So my journey into keto, my inflammation went down significantly. Then when I started to really and I took out the seed oils immediately. But then when you really, whoa. I took out the seed oils I was cooking with immediately. Let me be clear. I was still eating at restaurants. And I was still especially at the beginning, when I found keto, there were so many channels talking about dirty keto, lazy keto, this idea that you could just kind of half do it. And I fell for that. And I was still buying fried chicken, whether it be at the grocery store or at a restaurant. I was still buying fried things. And so therefore, I was still ingesting seed oils. And so therefore, still harming my health. Like, we need to take responsibility for the fact that these things are harming us. And if we want a healthy body, changes will need to be made, right? So removing the plant toxins, or removing the plants removes the plant toxins. It reduces inflammation. It lowers the carbs, obviously. So all the sugars that were on my plate alongside the minuscule amounts of meat, gone. And that means that all the sugar related illnesses can be solved. So things like diabetes, for sure, we see that. Keto does it and carnivore really does it. But what about the other sugar related things that we live that we just don't pay attention to? All the plaquing that happens in our body, in our arteries, in our brain, the things that cause damage, all the excessive amounts of oxidative stress that happen because of the plants that we're taking in, right? So these sugar related issues, what about the cancer that thrives in the sugary environment that we're creating because we're eating so much sugar? All of these things come down in numbers, and it's so much more likely that we're going to be living that healthy life that we want because we're eating a healthier diet that doesn't have all these carbs in it, right? So we can dramatically help ourselves to remove these sugar related illnesses from our future by taking the sugary foods out of our diet. And I'm saying sugary foods because carbohydrates is a word that means sugar, and carb, like those are interchangeable words when we're talking about food. That anything that has carbohydrates in it, carbohydrates is a sugar. It's a label for sugar. So whether it's glucose, fructose, those are all sugars. Galactose, right? Raffinose, like these are all sugars, and our body struggles to manage these sugars that we are eating so regularly. I was eating them daily. I was eating them multiple times a day. I was hungry all the time because I was eating so much sugar all the time, right? Because the other thing that we don't realize is that sugar pushes hunger because it messes with your ghrelin and your leptin, because it actually activates your fat. And it activates insulin. Sugar actually pushes you to be hungrier. It's not in your head that you're hungry. It's real. You're hungrier. And then you eat more sugary stuff and you're hungrier. And then you eat more sugary stuff and we're on this roller coaster of hungry, eat. And we're damaging our body all along the way, right? One of the things I love about keto started it off, but that carnivore really ramps up is a metabolic reset, right? Like when you do carnivore, you absolutely regulate your insulin because you're not ever spiking insulin, ever, because you're not eating carbs. Can you imagine the world where you're never spiking insulin? That's what you get when you eat a carnivore diet. You reset your insulin levels and you reset your body's sugar levels because now you're only having the sugar that your body makes, and your body knows exactly how much sugar to make for you because your body controls the sugar. Like your body wants to make the right amount of sugar for you. That's 1,000%, not even 100%, is 1,000%. Your body wants you to have the exact number, and it will make it, and it will keep you there, right? The same way that your body struggled and fought with you to keep you at the right numbers for years and years and years and years before you became insulin resistant, and years and years and years and years and years before you became diabetic. That was your body fighting to keep you at the right number because your body knows what the number is supposed to be, right? Regardless of the numbers that our doctors tell us it thinks it should be, if you are eating only meat, your body will keep you at the number that it's supposed to be. I'm saying that for every person who's not type 1 diabetic. You're the only exception to this rule. But everybody else, That's what your body's going to do. It is so important for us to stop fighting with our body. Stop and let our body do its thing. And the best way to do that, carnivore. Weight regulation is the other thing that carnivore is amazing for, because by stopping insulin resistance in its tracks, by regulating my blood sugar, yes, eventually my body is going to get to the correct weight it's supposed to be. That thing that I've mentioned earlier, where my body is taking in the food and it's switching fat over to muscle, and like there's a shift happening, and we can see it happening on the scale and the data that the scale is giving us. Because why? Because my body knows exactly what to do to get me to be at a healthy weight. And it wants me to be at a healthy weight. It's always wanted me to be at a healthy weight. We so blame our body. Oh, it's because I'm big boned. Oh, it's because of my genetics that I'm fat. It's absolutely not. That's a bold-faced lie. No body, no physical body wants to carry itself around at the wrong weight. Why? Because your body doesn't know that we're living in 2024, where we can walk to a fridge and get food. Your body doesn't know that. What your body thinks is that you need to go catch some food. And so it's trying to keep you in the best possible shape. So you need muscle. You need to be at the right weight to be able to run yourself around, because you need to catch that thing so you can eat it. There's no way that your body would keep you 50, 60, 70 pounds overweight on purpose, because I was that much overweight. I was 80 pounds overweight. And more than that. You know what? When I started keto, I didn't step on a scale. I didn't want to know the number, right? I only stepped on the scale when I started to see the stuff moving, right? So I don't even know what my top number was, but I know that I was more than 80 pounds overweight. Wellness warrior. Your body wants you to be at that healthy weight. Let's give it the tools, right? Carnivore. What about your mood? If your hormones are regulated, and insulin being off means that everything is off, because all of our hormones interact together, Wellness Warrior. Your hormones talk to each other. They balance each other out. If one is high, the other one's supposed to be low, and vice versa. And all these things are happening. And then our mood gets shifted and kicked out of, right? And yes, when you eat a carnivore lifestyle, over and over and over again, I'm having people tell me that, wow, like they just felt calm and regular. I can tell you, even though I didn't ever think of myself as someone who had a mood stability problem, somehow the more towards carnivore I eat, the more clarity I have, the better regulated I feel, that things can go wrong and I'm solving them without freaking out, without getting excessively angry or excessively sad. Not to say inappropriately. I get angry, I get sad, but excessively hasn't happened to me in the longest of long times. When you are balanced, it's not just about, energy, it's about mood, which takes me to the sugar cravings. See, when you eat carnivore, and you have people that talk about they are like, so when people are eating keto, I have people talk about how they will go into the mall and smell the Ben and Jerry's, or smell whatever store you guys have, the ice cream or the cookies or the whatever, and they're tempted. I can tell you, although it started happening for me in my keto lifestyle, but again, my reasons for doing this were so large. But I could tell you that when I switched to carnivore, it's even more so that I don't care. I smell these smells. They smell good. I'm not going to say they smell bad, because that would be a lie. But they smell good to me the same way that when you light a candle, it smells good. You don't want to eat the candle, but it smells good, right? When you put on perfume, you don't want to spray the perfume in your mouth, but it smells good. And I've realized that the further and further I went away from keto and towards carnivore, the more smells and like these old smells that used to make me want to eat them became smells that I just enjoyed. They brought good memories, but I didn't want to eat them. It's crazy how the healthier I feel, the more I can see these different things as not pulling me towards eating the wrong thing, but solidifying that I want to keep eating what I'm eating because it feels great to feel great. There's a fifth reason that I want you to know that carnivore is the best thing for you. And there's a fifth reason I want you to do it. It's to stop supporting people who don't have your best interest at heart. I want you to understand that by doing carnivore, you get all the benefits of better health, all the benefits of mental clarity, physical health, mental health, all of that coming together. And you stop supporting people who are taking advantage of you. I'm going to say a word right now. The word is hyper palatable food. And when I heard that word, I was like, what the heck is that? I was reading a book and Michael Moss talked about hyper palatable food. That means food that is so delicious tasting that the person cannot stop eating it. And food companies strive to create hyper palatable foods, which means food companies are striving to create foods that you cannot stop eating, which means that they are actively creating food cravings. They are actively creating overeating. They are actively creating people who eat more than their body needs. This is purposeful. That was on, like when I understood that that was on purpose, angry, insulted, frustrated, want to scream. What the heck? This shouldn't be a thing, but it is. That food companies have the gall to not just sell you food that's less than ideal, but purposefully making the food so intriguing, so interesting, so like they are making the food so that you will eat one and then finish the container. That was the goal. Wellness warrior, you need to stop supporting people who do not have your best interest at heart. I recently found out that food companies have interests in pharmaceutical companies. That food companies and pharmaceutical companies sometimes are under the same umbrella company. So I make this food that's hyper palatable, that's pulling you into this story with food that's horrible for you, that's causing illness, and then I'm in the pharmaceuticals where I'm making the solution to the poor health that I've helped you to create. And then the pharmaceutical company is the one teaching our med students. So pharmaceutical companies fund schools that have medical sections, like so the medical schools, and they fund hospitals, by the way, and so like I'm learning that all of so the medical establishment is being contaminated by the food companies and the pharmaceutical companies who want to push their product. So is my health the number one goal to the medical establishment? And I'm not talking about individual doctors at this moment, because I don't think individual doctors are in on this story, because individual doctors are also overweight. Individual doctors are also taking these medications. Individual doctors are part of society more so than they're part of the company side of things. But if we don't understand that the food companies, the pharmaceutical companies, and the medical school, like the medical establishment, are not having our best interests at heart, we keep eating the garbage right? Those cookies, those cakes, those frozen pizzas, those fast food restaurants that are being told to use this versus that, and like all this, and all the push towards veg that keeps us. So the push towards veg, they those sweeter vegetables that they keep creating every year. The vegetables are getting sweeter and sweeter and sweeter, and we can make them taste better so your kids want to eat them. We can make them taste better so your kids want to eat them. Why would I want my kids to eat vegetables that have toxins in them? Well, because I'm told they're healthy. And these healthy vegetables get my kids to like sweet. And the canned tomato sauce or the pasta sauce that they put sugar in that tastes sweet, that then my kids are eating, and all the stuff that my kids are trained on sweet. And so why would they not want the chocolate bar or the cookie or the ice cream? And by the way, we're told from the stories that the nutritionists are taught from these same, institutions, that it's important that we have 6 or 7 meals a day. And don't forget that dessert is normal and natural, and everybody has the right to have dessert. We don't have the right to be healthy, though, apparently. But we have the right to have dessert. Companies are allowed to create hyper palatable foods. But we have the right to junk food. We don't have the right to be healthy, because those hyper palatable foods pull us into this system. The number 5 reason to put this crap down is because you're going to stop funding the people who are benefiting off your pain. Now, how do we do this? How do we do it? I'm going to give you 3 points that I hope help you to see how to do it. And I want you to walk around with these 3 ideas in your head 24/7. Because if you walk around with these 3 ideas in your head 24/7, you will be able to eat a healthy carnivore lifestyle forever. So point number 1, eating healthy food builds a healthy body from the ground up, right? You wouldn't source the materials for your new house from a junkyard. Let's stop getting our food from the junk food aisle. Eat the healthy stuff, right? All the center of the grocery store, junk food aisles. Nothing but junk in those packaged containers. Let's stop. Point number 2, building a healthy body takes time, right? When you remodel a house that you live in, you plan 1 room at a time and understand that it will take years to complete. Well, the remodel of your body is going to take years of eating the right foods so that your body can repair the damage bit by bit, piece by piece, because you're living in here. You need your body to keep moving forward. It can't just tear the whole thing down and start over. So bit by bit, piece by piece, build the healthy version of you. But for moms, right? For any pregnant lady right now, any person who plans to get pregnant in the future, and for all the parents that have little people who are just starting their food career, meat is healthy. Fish is healthy. Poultry is healthy. Eggs are healthy. We need to understand that information, right? If I'm putting healthy things into my body and I'm pregnant, I'm growing a healthy baby from the get-go. And then that baby can come into the world and eat healthy stuff from the get-go. And that way, that child doesn't have to live the horrible pain that I need to live to learn this message, to learn this lesson. And I want you to learn the lesson so that your kids don't have to go through what I went through. Because not being able to walk sucks. It's horrible. Nobody should have that. Don't have it. You don't have to have it. After you renovate the house, point number 3, you're going to be excited, right? To use that house for parties, for gatherings. And you're going to just love being in that house, and you're going to want to chill out in there, and you're going to, right? Well, guess what? The healthier I felt, the more activities I wanted to do. I wanted to use my body to do stuff, right? I was eager to go snowboarding. I was eager to go shopping for a new bathing suit to, like, go swimming. I took up climbing. I started a new sport, right? Using your body will become a high priority because it feels great to be able to do what you want with your body when you want and not need days to recover. I used to need days to recover, wellness warrior. I no longer need to spend time recovering unless I actually get hurt. And that hasn't happened in a long time either, right? Carnivore gives you an opportunity to heal your body naturally without medication, right? And you don't know that you have things to heal. I get it. A lot of people are going to be watching this video and say, but I feel fine. We feel fine until we don't feel fine. One of the things that we don't understand is that we can feel this because of the neurons, right? And the messages that are being sent back and forth because our brain needs to understand what's happening on the outside. What are we touching? What are we feeling? What's the temperature? And we have all these neurons going back and forth, nerves that are going back and forth and helping our brain to understand what's going on in the world. But internally, we don't have these sensory things. We don't know that something isn't working until it breaks and then we have a pain signal. But until that happens, yes, there's problems brewing in there that we don't know about because we can't feel it, right? That's why doctors can insert, like things into our body. Like, when once you, if you've ever had a needle, you've had this happen. Once the needle punctures you, you don't feel it traveling the rest of the way in, right? Because internally, we don't have these sensors. You have things to heal. We all do. Are you letting your body heal them? Feeding yourself a carnivore diet is what's going to help you to heal properly, right? Because that's what you want. You want your body to heal properly. I'm really curious. Like, what do you think about this, wellness warrior, about what I've said to you today? Like, did I miss anything? Do you have other reasons that carnivore is a great choice, or maybe a reason to be skeptical about what I'm saying today? I want to know what you have. Put it in the comments. I want to know what you think about this topic today that I'm so on board with. Carnivore has changed the way I've seen everything. I feel amazing. I feel amazing. I want you to feel amazing too. I want to talk to you guys. Hello. First, let me just do some hellos because Patrick, hello. So glad that you are here. M.A., hello. Big B, glad you made it back. Garuda Legends, I'm so happy that you're here. Perfect. And Yvonne Shelton, hello. So let's see what kind of topics we have. Q in front of questions. I would love to answer some questions. Pepsi is my weakness. That's yeah. I Pepsi used to be my weakness. It is no longer. I'm so happy to say that I've taken all sodas and like drinks like that out of my life. I've been drinking water and coffee in the last, I would say, 2 months, for like maybe more than that. Water and coffee and tea. If I add tea into that store, I can go back for the last year. I've taken tea out of my diet recently, so it's been water and coffee for the last few months, and I'm feeling amazing. I used to eat hella cookies, candy, Pop-Tart, soda back then in the early middle school. Phased out soda and junk food back in 2007. Thank you, Big B, for that. I'm going to just scroll down and see if there's any questions before I start doing. Oh, okay. So, there's more people too. Sorry. Ola. So I saw someone say Ola to me. Hello, Aaron. Hello, Alexander Siga. I don't know how to say that last name. Ian Stewart. Hello. I see there's more people here than I thought. Hi. So do I have any QQQs? Okay, so ABQ. Candy calls my name. How do you deal with the mental part of forever letting it go? I do good for 2 weeks, then I cave in. So the way that I was able to let go of chocolate and all the junk food in my life was a bit backwards because first, all the real junk food, so the actual like from a store junk food, I was able to let go because I understood the reality. The junk food caused me to not be able to walk. And in my mind, that didn't make sense. I let it go. Okay. But then I had all these other keto junk foods that I was doing. That took me longer because I had to actually learn that the food that I was allowing into my diet that was supposed to be keto still was causing problems. So first and foremost, I would say that the emotional piece of this is you are choosing a moment of taste pleasure over the future of your life, over the health you could have. And I understand that for a lot of people, when the only reason you're doing this is because you have weight to lose, the taste still seems intriguing. I'm trying to get everyone to understand from today's video that in fact, although you can't feel the negative that's happening inside, it's happening. And I know there's a lot of people that will say things like, oh, but you know, you only live once. And so therefore I should be able to have fun. I should be able to like do this thing that's giving me pleasure right now because, right, like I'm only going to be here to have this good moment right now. But can we flip that over for a second? What about the fact that I do only live once and everything I eat is building my body? Everything. So when I eat candy, which is giving me carbohydrates that my body has to filter and do something with. So the carbohydrates can be adding fat to me, can be adding inflammation to my body, can be adding, so the carbohydrates are coming in, they're doing something. Fructose, because candy is fructose, damaging my liver. You can't feel that happening, but it's happening. Fructose is metabolized only by the liver in a damaging way. It's just what's happening. So I can't feel it, but it's happening. High fructose corn syrup being in the news was in the news because of the reality that it's damaging our bodies. High fructose corn syrup, anywhere from 40% fructose all the way up to 60% fructose. Most candy is 50% fructose. Candy and high fructose corn syrup are interchangeable in the body. They are the same, right? The same way that fruit that has fructose, and most fruit's about 50% fructose, in the body, all your body's seeing is this fructose. So these things that we're eating and we're saying, oh, but I love it, I can't, I need it, all the things that we say, ABK, doesn't change the fact that it's damaging your body. The reason that I want you to let yourself think about that is that now the thing is, am I trading a flavor in this moment for the sadness, the pain, the struggle that I'm going to live? Maybe it's going to be 5 years from now. Maybe it's going to be 10 years from now when whatever internal damage my body is doing shows itself. I don't want us to do that. That's what I did. I lived years eating the wrong things until my body just stopped letting my hip work. It just wasn't going to work anymore. It's not working. Luckily, I was able to get it back. Luckily. Sometimes liver issues, sometimes heart issues actually are terminal, and we don't want that to be the case. So you need to think wider than just it's fun. You need to think wider than why can't I stop? We go back to this hyperpalatable. Why can't I stop? Why is it after 2 weeks I'm struggling? Well, it's because you're still being called. The cravings are still there, which tells you that maybe the veg that you are letting in has a sweet enough sweetness to it that it's letting you still be called towards these other, even more sweet things? I'm giving you lots to think about because I don't know which one is actually going to resonate with you. I don't know which one is more in line with what you're doing. But if you're telling me that you make it 2 weeks and that's when you cave in, what it's saying to me is that somewhere along the way, you're saying, oh, it's just one. Oh, it doesn't matter because everything I eat is impacting my body. Can I point out that most candy have dyes? Most candies have other chemicals in them. It's not just pure sugar, right? Most candy has flavorings and other things that, yes, your body has to detox or do something with. And sometimes those things linger in our body for years, doing whatever they are doing to damage us. Is that what you want? And I hope the answer to that is no. Hello, Dexter McCarthy from Trinidad. How are you doing? Aaron Gobra, thank you for coming by. I'm glad you're here. I'm looking for more questions. Hello, Sing It. Thank you for the question. Violet, you don't smell the chemicals in baked goods now? Oh, it totally makes me not want to have it. From donuts to pizza that I ate in abundance before. It's weird. I don't smell chemicals, but maybe it's because I don't know what the chemical would smell like. So all I've ever smelled is food. And so like I just label it as food. The thing that is for me is that it just doesn't smell enticing to eat. It's not that so I smell it. It smells good, but it doesn't smell like food to me anymore. It smells just good, right? And I'm not tempted. I feel like the interesting thing is like I've even noticed now I can watch videos of YouTubers like making foods I used to eat, and even like junk food that I used to eat. I have like this one channel that I watch. He's like making all kinds of things, like he's experimenting with foods, and sometimes he'll cook. Like I saw one recently, he cooked with Coca-Cola. And it's just was what's interesting is that he makes the food and then he shares it to his friends, and like they have to rate it and whatever. And I like seeing the ratings and like seeing how like what are the reasons for saying what they're saying. But would I ever in a million years want to try any of the stuff he's making? Not even at all. Not even a little bit. Right. And often there's like some kind of meat because he likes to barbecue stuff and whatever. But like even the meat recipes that he's doing, not interested. Right. I am really leaning in to this whole idea of less vegetation is healthier. I'm leaning in hard, right? Like I'm trying my best wherever possible that there's no spices even. I'm leaning in hard because I really want to see what level of health can I get my body back to. So, yeah, and it's not to say I never make mistakes. I'm not trying to say that I'm perfect, but I'm trying to learn and do better every single day. Because if I don't learn and do better every single day, then I'm going to just keep hurting my body. I'll give you a great example. Yesterday, no, sorry. What day are we today? We're Monday. So Friday, this is our weekend, Pat and I, for our date. So Friday we went out. And the way that we're doing the date now, it's actually coming in, it's just one day. So we went out and we had a meal, and our typical meal at the same restaurant. And Pat, when he was making the order, we forgot to say no lemon oil. The lemon oil is actually canola oil. And so we just don't take the lemon oil because we learned it was canola oil. That's not healthy. Well, he forgot to say no lemon oil. And honestly, for some reason, I didn't taste it. Like, weirdly enough. But guess what? Saturday, oh my gosh, was I in pain. And I'm walking around and I'm struggling. I'm trying to figure out what's happening. Why do I feel bad? My back is hurting. My hip is hurting. It's like, I don't feel good. And it didn't occur to me until Sunday when I woke up in the morning, still not feeling great, and started to think about what did I do? And I replayed the order in my mind in the restaurant. And then I woke Pat up. I'm like, am I misremembering this? I don't remember hearing you say no lemon oil. And he's like, oh, I didn't say it. And it's like, bingo, bingo. So, one thing that I will help every wellness warrior to understand that I only figured out through living through my healthy keto lifestyle, and now I'm seeing it playing out in my carnivore lifestyle. One thing that I've understood is that when you heal something, so when you and heal, I'm not healed, so that was the wrong word. I'm not healed. But when you improve something, so I was eating standard diet, I came over and I started to eat a keto diet, and I did my keto diet for 4 months before I ate off plan. So I ate some potatoes. My body hit me hard. Like the pain came back immediately. I have violet syndrome. When I eat the wrong thing, my body slaps me down and says, don't do that. Not everybody has violet syndrome. Going back to the person with the candy, I don't know what your negative is when you eat that candy. But when I do, when I eat off plan, I get pain. So the good news for me is that because I felt pain, I was able to go back and listen and, oh my gosh, we forgot to say no lemon oil. Why is that important for me? Because if you forget once, you might forget twice, you might forget 7 times. Next thing you know, you're no longer asking for no lemon oil. And then you've allowed a toxin back in. And considering that this is one of the few meals that we can go out and eat that seems to be cooked really, really clean, I don't want to forget to say no lemon oil, because that's the piece of the puzzle that ruins it for me. So I live the pain, and you can believe that when we go back, I'm going to say no lemon oil. I'm going to say it because it's important for me to say, because I live the repercussions of having not said it. But no, I don't smell. And maybe for you saying it, you've got the luck that you can smell it so that you will actually smell it before you eat it and not have to be like me and feel the pain and be like, oh, schnook, I should have remembered that. Right? So I'm actually envious of you. I wish I had your smell ability, and I could just sniff out the problem. Maybe that's why animals are so good at not eating the wrong thing, because they're smelling everything before they eat it. And if they smell the bad, and that doesn't smell right, though, they just won't eat it. I don't have that ability, unfortunately. So Joe Childress, hello. I don't think I've read that name before. What an eye-opener about food pharma. How do I find out specifics? Who is partnered with whom? Oh my goodness. I'm very lucky that I listen to a lot of people that point me towards, if I could think of a book, the first book I would say is Michael Moss's book. I will link it below. That book was called, oh my goodness, what was that book called? I'm going to link it below. I can't remember what the book was called, but that book did start to put the links together for me, because the food companies, first of all, collaborated together on some level to fight against the idea that it was junk food that was causing obesity. And that's how we ended up blaming fat. The food companies, collaborated on that. Well, we ended up blaming, actually, what they wanted to blame was lack of exercise, because fat is a key ingredient in how they keep us hooked on the poor quality foods. They pointed us towards lack of exercise and said we're just lazy. And you can read about it in Michael's book. But eventually, fat got pulled into the story, which caused problems for them because they were using a lot of fat to make this junk food. But that's, where they iterated and they just added more sugar and pulled the fat back. And they were able to figure things out and create these hyper palatable foods that now we suffer with so regularly. But I would say that I'm open to listening to educators that back up their data. So like whenever I'm listening to someone and they say what they say, and then they point me towards a book or point me towards a study, then I'm willing to listen to that kind of information. But I don't have a person specifically that I could name right now. Although I will say Dr. Barry lately has been talking about that. I found this channel that I watched a few videos recently. I want to say it's called Homestead How. I've been watching a few of his videos, and so he's talking about the links. He has a really interesting video that I just watched about like M&Ms and food companies and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I would say. I hope that's helpful. Any more questions? Hello, Laura, and I'm glad that you're able to make it to the live stream. Wait, I see that. I'm going to just pop this up on screen just because the whole cholesterol dilemma is my only concern. I have no idea what to believe anymore. So I'm popping this up on the screen because I did learn from the book, Mark Hyman's book, Food, What Are We Supposed to Eat? I'll link that one up later too. I learned from that book that there's this website called Numbers Needed to Treat. And when he talked about that website, it was easy to find. Now I have such a hard time trying to find it whenever I've actually bookmarked it, I think, for myself, because they keep moving it and hiding it. And like, they don't want people to know this website exists, but it's there. And when you go on that website and you check statins, like you need to treat, and I can't remember what the ridiculously high number of people is, but like hundreds of people need to take a statin for one person to get benefit. And so like how that works is like they're basically saying like how many people do they need to give a drug to show that somebody gets a benefit. And so for good drugs, it's going to be like, 1 in 2 people. So if for every 2 people we give the drug to, one person benefits, right? So that's a 50%. And like most people would say, okay, I want to take those chances, 50%. But when you start getting up into the 2 and 3 and 400s, and some of them are even thousands, yeah, like why are we taking this medication? So for every 1,000 people, one person is going to be benefiting. What's the reason to take this medication? And but it's a lie. So when I first learned about this website, I checked statins right away. Statins were red. So they actually color code them red. Like the number was way too high for it to be beneficial to anyone. That's one thing I will say. But more recently, I can't remember if it's the World Health Organization or the National Institute of Health, but one of them came out saying that they now feel there's enough evidence to say that statins don't do what they're supposed to do. I can't remember which one it was, but I heard about that recently. So that's actually out there as data, as information now. So if that's what you're looking for, I would go and just do a search. You probably could find it in Google. Now that it's been that one of those big organizations have said it, you'll probably be able to find that they've said it and what research they're looking at to say that is no longer a thing. But I mean, honestly, like that has been information that's been around for years. What I will say is that from personal experience of knowing people who have taken statins, the feedback that I've gotten is that take the statin, feel worse, stop taking the statin, feel better. Doctor says take the statin, and then they're on the edge. And from the people that I've known, I would say it was probably 75% that decided I'm going to take my chances on not taking it because they felt so bad taking it. But that doesn't mean anything. Like, do your research. I'm just telling you like what I've seen, but I know 100% I wouldn't take a statin. Like that's just, I mean, going back even to what all the doctors have been saying for years, your body makes cholesterol. It's making it on purpose. You're supposed to have cholesterol. Doctors in the keto space have been saying that for years. Your body makes more cholesterol than you're getting, your body makes more cholesterol than you're getting from food even. So they're saying like it doesn't make sense. And they've shown that if you eat high cholesterol foods, your body just makes a little bit less cholesterol. So your body also knows how much cholesterol is supposed to be there. You can't overdo it either. So I think that's where I would put get my information from. Devil, Waldo, hello, glad you're able to make it. Kabar, hello, glad you are able to make it. Water is the best. Charlie Martini, hello. And water and black coffee, definitely that's what I've been drinking. And So water and black coffee, I want to stop here for a second because I want to say something. I think that when you are drinking all the things, the juices and the sodas and the alcoholic beverages, when you're drinking all the things, we think that we need that variety. The same way that when you're eating all the things, you think you need that variety. I can tell you that on my keto diet, my variety of things I was eating, so much less than the majority of people. Like even when you compare myself and Pat, right? Like when I'm cooking my 5 to 6 meals in rotation. That's what it was. And then when Pat would cook, like he'd be looking for recipes and doing fine, right? We're different people. And then when I went to be more towards like just eating meat and like really took my veg down, then I had two veg. I had avocados and olives, and the rest of it was meat and spices. That was it. Moving forward, and when we went more towards carnivore-ish, especially when we did carnivore for a month, personalities, right? I did carnivore for a month, and what did I do? I just took the veg out and kept cooking the meats that I was cooking to begin with. Pat introduced all kinds of like organ meats and like different kinds of meats, and like was experimenting with meats. Different people. I want us to recognize who we are and play to who we are. If you're the kind of person that needs variety, you need to figure out how I'm going to have variety in the healthy way, right? So when we were carnivore and Pat pulled in more meats, cool. That's a really healthy way to have variety. If we are pulling in things that would cause harm, so spices, or things that would cause harm, like drinking things that are not healthy for us to drink, that's a mistake. I really feel like I honestly even feel like our need for variety could possibly be part of the company trick that gets us, right? Because if you even think about every company, why is it every year there's not just the normal cookies? They have to have a spin-off or a twist on the cookie, and that they're going to cycle. So the staple cookie is there, right? If you think about, for example, Oreos, the staple Oreo is there, but then you have all these different kinds of Oreos that come and go and whatever, because they're trying to, so they get you to try a different kind of Oreo, but of course you're going to go back to the original because that's the best, right? And I feel like we are so used to companies marketing to us that things always need to be changing and evolving and improving, and you need something different all the time. Even something as silly as our cell phones, that we are going to have a perfectly fine working cell phone, but buy a new one next year, and then a new one the year after that, and then why? Because they made it, right? And it doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense that we just change the phone because they tell us to change the phone, right? I did change my phone this year after having it for 5 years. I think I had my other phone, but like I know people that change their phone every single year. Why? The phone still works. Why is it happening? Because they put it in our brain that you need variety, you need new things, you need to that the fun of having something new. We need to stop letting companies put ideas in our heads that cause us to give them money for things we don't need and that are not actually helping us. Should there be new phones made? That's not the question. Of course they're going to make new phones. Should every single person buy the new phone? No, that doesn't make sense. Should there be new recipes and new things? Sure, why not? But should every single person be eating all these things? No, we shouldn't. At some point, we need to accept that there's a healthy food that we could be eating that's the same food that I ate yesterday or 3 days ago or whatever. And it's about building my body rather than it being about entertaining myself with food. We need to stop entertaining ourselves with food. It's not good for us. And it gives them power to trick us into believing that we need things that we don't need. Hello, Yvonne. I'm so happy to have you here. Um, and sorry, no question about anything you said, Violet. And only willpower will be being the issue to get here. Yeah. Thank you, Ian. I appreciate that. Okay, so I see a question from Laura. Tips for the occasional sugar craving when people are around you eating variety. So I feel like I answered this question a little bit earlier, but I'm going to say people being around you doing the wrong thing should never be a reason to do the wrong thing. If my best friend is cheating on her husband, I'm not cheating on Pat. That's just not going to happen. Do what you're doing. And I mean, I can't tell you what to do and why to, but I'm not going to do it. Someone around me doing the wrong thing, if you're stealing internet, I'm not going to do that. Like somebody around you doing the wrong thing should not be a reason for you to do the wrong thing if you know it's wrong, right? I could see a lot of people who are going to be like, they don't know, for example, that eating fruit is going to harm them. They're going to eat the fruit. It's on the table. It's part of the platter that the host put out. They're going to eat it. But I know that fruit's harmful to me. So if I go to your house and you have fruit out and you're like, oh, Violet, have some fruit, I'm going to say, no, thank you. Right? And I don't have to be rude about it. I don't have to be like, oh, you're trying to poison me. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to be like, no, thank you. I'm good. I don't want any of that. So you need to allow yourself to understand that it's not because somebody else does the wrong thing that that's an excuse for you to do the wrong thing. As a matter of fact, someone else doing the wrong thing should be data for you, right? Because all that means is that there's still people that need to know that these things are not helping their health. Doesn't mean, I'm not saying you need to get out there and get in their face and be like, you shouldn't be eating that. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, for example, sharing videos like this, like what we're in right now, which please share and hit the like button. I always forget to say that. And that lets YouTube know that this is a good quality piece of data, right? But like sharing these kind of videos so that more people can see with their own eyes that yes, there are ways to improve your health that are not medication, that there are ways to improve your health and be stronger that taste good, right? Like everybody thinks that if you're going to do a diet, the diet has to taste horrible. And I can tell you, I love my meals. I can tell you that I look forward to my meals. I can tell you that there's not a meal that I currently make that I'm like, it's time for that. Why? Why would I just don't make that meal if I don't like it? If I try something and no longer find it interesting for me to eat, I just don't eat it anymore. It's that simple. So I love my meals. You can love your meals. You can heal your body while loving your meals, right? And it's so freeing to know that there is actually healthy food. It's so freeing to know that I can be around people today and not want to eat their garbage. So garbage isn't interesting to me because I know it's garbage, right? Yeah, it tastes fun and you're ruining your body. So Laura, I think the other question I would ask you to think about, like, what are where are the places where you easily say no? For example, if someone offers you a drink and you feel like drinking, you can easily say no. And if you were to decide, okay, I'm not drinking anymore because that's not healthy, probably you could easily say no, because we're not trapped in that story with those kind of things, but we're trapped in that story with food. Why? Because everybody eats and we've all been taught to eat this way. And we were not aware of these food lies until very recently. So all of that adds together to equal, and then we eat off plan or we eat on plan when we know. So I hope that helps. So let's see. Actually, I'm going to do this one too, Kimberly, because I see that comment. Hi, Kimberly Ann. Finding wild caught salmon in the supermarket. They're making it harder and harder to buy wild. So what I think is that farm salmon is cheaper for the supermarket to purchase, and yet they can still sell it kind of expensive. And that's better profit for them, right? Versus when they actually buy the wild caught, it's going to cost them more to even get it into the store. And then They have to sell it at a price that many people can't afford. So I definitely think that wild caught everything is what we should be aiming at. And so my question is, what happens if we just refuse to buy the farmed stuff? They'd have to stop making it. There's certain things that we need to learn to do to stand up for ourselves. Part of it is eat the healthy things and stop eating the unhealthy things. They'd stop making it if we weren't eating it. Now, do I think it's ever going to completely go away? No, because I think there's always going to be somebody who's willing to eat the unhealthy thing, right? That's just reality. I want us to learn that for our own health, it matters and it makes the most sense to eat the healthy thing. So, Lynn, you're saying that after a year and a half of being carnivore, you figured out that you can't eat fiber or almond flour. I mean, almond flour, I think we should all be cautioning against eating almond flour. The amount of oxalate in almond flour is very high and, just not healthy to have in high quantities. But fiber, again, another lie that we've been told that we need fiber for bathrooming and all kinds of stuff. And it's just not true. I see a question here. The whole cholesterol dilemma is my only concern. Okay, I know the limits were set once Lipitor was created, but my doctor is always yelling at me. I did answer that question for you already. Devil Waldo, hello. Do you think it's still beneficial to eat carnivore like 70% of the time and still eat veggies sometimes? The more that I'm learning, the more I'm understanding that that's not likely to be helpful. So here's the thing. When we eat vegetables, there are plant toxins, there are anti-nutrients that are in plants because plants have to defend themselves. And so no matter what I do, I need to understand that my body then needs to contend with that stuff. Currently, still rebuilding, knowing that I was metabolically damaged, knowing that I was having so much pain, knowing that something as simple as slipping up once with vegetable oil gave me pain again. I'm understanding that it's so important to eat properly all the time. This is part of the reason I've decided I'm going to be carnivore and see how this plays out, because unless you have an oxalate issue, so that would be the one if that I would say, oh, if you have an oxalate issue, maybe you might want to be careful on how quickly you eliminate plants from your diet because of the oxalate dumping that can happen. But outside of that one scenario, I really don't know why I would keep plants in my diet, knowing that they're not helpful, knowing that they're not giving me anything that I can't get from meat, first of all, that they're not giving me anything that my body can use easily, right? And even if my body can convert some of these things to something that it can use, it still has to deal with all the byproduct of having converted it versus me giving it healthy animal protein that it can use more easily, more cleanly, right? This is part of the problem that I think that we don't allow ourselves to see, is that we think that by eating veg, we're giving ourselves something healthy, when in fact, from meat, eggs, poultry, and fish, we can get those healthy things without the damage that veg does. So that's more the reason that I'm encouraging people to just think about it. Hello, Kay Day. I don't think I've seen your name before. Hello, Brooke Adrian. I don't think I've seen your name before. So hello, thank you for joining me. And you're saying cravings are tough. I absolutely agree. Cravings are tough. But like I said, no, I haven't said this yet today. When you have cravings, it's because you're eating the thing that you're chasing. If you're long enough away from eating the thing that you're chasing, your cravings go away. For me, when I started my keto lifestyle, being far enough away from eating real cookies, real ice cream, real helped me to not chase that anymore. And then eventually I was able to put down the fake versions, and then I was far enough away from that, wasn't interested in that anymore. So for example, I started to just make keto cakes and desserts and treats when there were parties and events. And so eventually it's like the distance between these events were so far that I was like, oh, do I really want to go through all the trouble of making these things? And it just went away from me. I wasn't interested in doing it. It takes so much time, energy, effort, blah. And I was just like, I don't care. I don't care enough to do it. Right. So I think that if you just give yourself time away from these things, the cravings will go away. The same reason that people can put down drinking if they are away from it long enough. Right. Then they just don't have it. So I hope that answers the question. And I'm trying to make sure I don't miss any questions. I see one here from WeBlaze, for real, 24/7, no joke. Is it a coincidence that all this stuff is food is killing people? It's not a coincidence, I don't think. I think that chemicals are chemicals. And we need to understand that all chemicals come from plants, first of all. That's just reality. And then we need to also understand that all medications come from plants. That's just reality. So this idea we have that if I eat the plant, it's fine, but this medication, I have to be careful. Sure, the medication is more concentrated. Sure, the medication it has a label on it, but you can still accomplish similar damaging implications by eating enough vegetation. And there's some plants you don't even need to concentrate it down. Doctors have talked about, so belladonna, I'll give you that example. If you eat belladonna, it's harming you right away. Belladonna is a nightshade plant, right? So the same solanine in belladonna that's harming you immediately is in tomatoes, is in potatoes, is in eggplant, is just in a smaller dose. So how many of them do I need to eat to have a repercussion? For most people, quite a bit. For me, not that much. If I have some tomato, some potato, some eggplant today, I'm going to be in pain later on today. I don't need much. I had a piece of potato like that big, just little, and I was in pain that same evening. Right? That was the first time I understood that I have a problem with nightshades. I didn't understand it at that moment, but that was the beginning of my story of understanding it. So we need to understand that all of these processes that we do to food to be able to make these other foods or whatever, we're concentrating down these plants. That has repercussions. So, hello, Rockman. Can we discuss eating charred black and blue steak, please? Is the burnt meat fat tax on processing our food? So I would always encourage people to not burn their food, because burning your food, yes, it causes problems. You're creating carcinogens when you burn something. So in our body, that becomes a carcinogen. So you can cook steak without burning it, right? This whole thing about making lines on, you don't have to do that. Right. So these are just, again, these lies that they tell us because, well, honestly, the truth of the matter is they did that because it adds a little bit of a flavor to the meat. And so it tastes a little bit, but is that necessary to do? No. Will it taste amazing without doing that? Yes. So everybody has to understand what they're doing, right? Like my father, who is a chef, told me years ago when I started cooking, do not burn your meat. It causes cancer producing properties in the body. He told me that. He's like, don't do it. He's like, yeah, they do it in restaurants because of whatever, but he's like, don't do it. It's dumb. And so I never did it. K-Day, my favorite meal. See, my favorite meals are all my meals. I keep them in rotation because they're my favorites. So I will just run through the ones that are actually in the rotation, that they are always there. They're there because I love them. Ground pork, with well, now I've added to the ground pork some bacon in it just because I think that tastes delicious. So ground pork with bacon. Um, the other one is pork chops, and then the other one is fried chicken. And I fry my chicken in a little bit lard and a little bit of butter. And those are my favorite 3 meals. And those are rotate most of the time. And then every once in a while, I'll just have. Oh, I have eggs with all of those things, by the way. But then sometimes I will have like just eggs, or like, I'll have other things. But my 3 meals that I rotate through are those. Hello, Jerry from Texas. Nice to meet you. So, Big B, how do you help spread awareness to family members who still use seasoning spices of plants to be the start of them trying carnivore, phasing out these plant spices seasoning? So, I would say that in the beginning, if that's the transition that they need to make, let them make it. I started out eating spices as well. And I mean, I only recently stopped putting spices on my stuff. So I would say that let it be the beginning. I mean, if they wanted to start with even with keto, like that could be an interesting beginning. Anything that we can do to lower our carb count regularly, we should be doing. So I would definitely just encourage the better behavior at all. And then as they progress and they feel better, then we can talk about these other processes. And I know there are a lot of people that they do carnivore and they allow the spices and they never stop using spices. And then there's other people that get all the way down to just salt, and that's the way they feel best. And I think we all will see where we fall. I have gotten all the way down to salt right now, and it's helping, but everybody's different, and not everybody's going to be able to do that immediately. It doesn't mean that you won't eventually get there. I think that every single person who starts a keto lifestyle, taking it seriously and sticks with it and like moves forward and like really does stick with it, I think that most people end up in a position where they improve on their keto at minimum, right? So they get more dialed in what keto foods they can eat and feel their best, and that at the minimum they dial in that. And then you have those people that will dial it in so much that they start to be getting closer and closer and closer to carnivore. Then you have those who will be carnivore still with spices, and then eventually full on carnivore, no spices, just eating meat and water and feeling amazing, and salt and feeling amazing. And some people even take the salt out. I know Steak and Butter Gal has been talking. I watched some of her videos and she doesn't even use salt. So she doesn't add any salt. So everybody's different. River, first of all, Blueberry Mapping, hello and thank you. And River Rat, thank you. So this was extremely fun, and I'm so happy that I had the time to get on here and talk to you guys. I want you guys to check out, there are 3 rules to help you stick to your keto diet. I'm going to link that below, and it's going to be on the end card. That is a set of 3 videos that are going to help you to do keto correctly. So if you want to get started and you're not ready for carnivore, you can start there. If you're ready for carnivore, I have videos on my channel where I talk about doing carnivore that you can also check out. Thank you for being here, and I can't wait to talk to you guys again next week. Bye.